Looks like we kind of have a big update from the Russo brothers on how the next two Avengers films are going to come together. They have revealed when filming will begin and whether these two projects are going to film back to back or have a little space in between. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about what Joe and Anthony Russo had to say at New York Comic-Con, what it means for the project, and why, quite honestly, I'm a bit surprised. Now, as many of you know, the next two Avengers movies have been all over the map since they were first announced. Initially, it was Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, but since the Jonathan Majors public fiasco and major changes to the MCU slate, well, now we're focused in on Doomsday with the return of Robert Downey Jr., followed up by a Secret Wars event. Now, not only did we get these changes, but we also got the Russo brothers returning behind the cameras, and they are the directing pair that brought us Infinity War and Endgame, arguably two of the best movies in the MCU. Now, since this came out, many of us have been wondering if, like Infinity War and Endgame, these two movies would be shot back to back. With so many characters on the call sheet, well, sometimes it's easier just to get the work done. And many of us, myself included, were assuming that was exactly what's going to happen, but apparently that's not the case. Now, this weekend at New York Comic-Con, the Russo brothers spoke a little bit with Collider and clarified this fact, and it seems like it won't be happening the way we think. During that interview, Joe Russo said, "It'll be similar, but we'll take a larger break in between the two movies than we did." I think it was 4 weeks maybe. Was it 4 weeks between Infinity War and Endgame? And then Anthony replied, "I think it was a couple of weeks, but no. These are not separated as you would normally separate two films of this scale. But they're more substantially separated than Infinity War and Endgame by a year or so. So it definitely sounds like they are approaching this in a similar way, but production is spaced out a little more, and seeing as Marvel is focusing on quality over quantity, more breathing room is definitely a good thing. Now, this could make a lot of sense when you start thinking about one of the rumors we recently heard. We did a report about 2 weeks ago that the whole production process was going to be about 5 months, and that Robert Downey Jr. would be on set for 3 months, but pretty much all the supporting cast would be on set for 1. Now, this made many of us think this is going to be a Doctor Doom origin movie, but if they're not having everybody gathered there for this massive event, it would explain why they're okay with the 1-year break. It was pretty clear during Infinity War and Endgame there's some scheduling issues for Marvel, and getting all these actors in the same place with their tight schedules is a monstrous feat. So maybe this does kind of confirm the first movie might be Doom focused, and although we might see the Avengers in that film, they're not going to have as big a role as many of us were anticipating. Now, as for how the script is coming along for Doomsday, well, Joe Russo said, and I quote, "We are right in the middle of the writing process. Stephen McFeely is writing the script. We've always worked closely with Marcus and McFeely through all the work we've done together. It's a little bit like getting back on a bike. We have a really codified process that we all work together through. It's very complicated to iron out a story of this scale." Now, we had heard for a while that McFeely was coming back, but this does seem to confirm that Christopher Marcus, who did work on the other two films, is not part of the writing process. Now, I don't have intimate knowledge of Marcus and McFeely and how they work together, and I have no idea how this will impact the script, but I do have confidence in the Russo brothers, so I'm still very, very hopeful for how this is going to pan out. Now, in any case, it seems like Marvel Studios is taking their time trying to get this right. I think they have a really high mountain to climb, with Robert Downey Jr. taking over as Victor Von Doom and moving Kang the Conqueror out of the main villain slot. I don't think there's anybody that can capture this better than the Russos, and after the work they did on Infinity War and Endgame, well, I've called since that day for them to do the Secret Wars event, so I'm going to stand by that ask and really, really hope this turns out to be the best Marvel project yet. I think Marvel has a chance to surpass all expectations here. Secret Wars allows them basically to do anything in the multiverse that is possible, which is pretty much anything, and gives the maximum storytelling opportunity to these two talented directors who are huge superhero fans, have always wanted to work on a Secret Wars project, and also just happen to be big fans of Wolverine. So this could make for an awesome, awesome movie. Doomsday is set to drop May 2026, with Secret Wars arriving 1 year later. With the whole thing going in production next year, I really do believe we're going to get a lot of details. Marvel has still not quite clamped down all the leaks, although I will say Agatha and Daredevil Born Again have seemed to pull them back a little bit, so I'm hopeful we're back in the realm of surprises and high expectations. Until we know more, what do you guys think? How do you feel about a little bit of separation between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars during the production process? And how do you think the Russo brothers are going to bring Doctor Doom on and turn him into an absolute menace in just one film? I gotta say, it's a pretty high bar. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Now, before you take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, ring that bell for all the updates, and make sure you get every notification because we do daily Marvel and DC content and we don't want you to miss any news.